Alice Calhoun was a popular leading lady in the 1920s, but after starring in just one talkie in 1929, she walked away from the movie industry for good, aside from one brief cameo a few years later. Why? Join me as I investigate. Alice was born as Alice Beatrice Calhoun in 1900 in Cleveland, Ohio, to Joseph and Florence Calhoun. While there's little information about her childhood available, we do know that she went to high school and got her diploma through private tutors so that she could enter the movie industry at age 17. According to the Blue Book of the Screen, Alice had no prior stage experience, but, quote, "It is said she always exhibited a certain attractive poise combined with absolute naturalness in her girlhood days," end quote. We do know that by 1918 she had begun acting in motion pictures, starting at Pathé in the Bessie Love film How Could You, Caroline? I'm assuming that she filmed her Pathé films at their Fort Lee studios in New Jersey because in 1919 she starred with Charles Richmond in Everybody's Business, which was filmed at WH Productions in Manhattan. In 1920, Alice first signed with Vitagraph and supported Corinne Griffith in both Human Collateral and Deadline at 11. In 1921, Alice had her first breakthrough starring role at Vitagraph, starring as the title character in Princess Jones. The film appears to have been a commercial and critical hit as it launched Alice into stardom at Vitagraph, where she starred in 5 more films that year alone, including The Charming Deceiver, Matrimonial Web, and Closed Doors. In 1922, Alice starred in one of her most popular hit films, The Little Minister, which was a commercial hit and got her rave reviews. One reviewer described her acting as near perfect, while Exhibitors Herald stated that she has fulfilled all predictions in the film and displays an art mellowed beyond any comparison to her youth. They went on to say that she has found real scope for that gift of naturalness, which has been remarked by every trade paper and fan magazine reviewer. One reviewer even said, "In all my years in this business, I have never received so many favorable comments, so much free-spoken praise of any picture. This wonderful production is bound to make Alice Calhoun a big drawing card." Later that same year, she starred in Angel of Crooked Street, The Girl in His Room, and A Girl's Desire, all of which got her rave reviews again. 1923's One Stolen Night brought her similar raves. Unfortunately, all of these career successes for Alice Calhoun are now lost. In fact, all 26 of her films made before 1925 are sadly lost. In 1925, Alice starred in her first surviving film, Pampered Youth, based on Booth Tarkington's famous novel, The Magnificent Ambersons. She played the heroine Isabel, who was later played by Dolores Costello in Orson Welles' 1942 remake. Alice got good notices, but the production as a whole got mixed reviews overall. Also in 1925, Warner Brothers absorbed the failing Vitagraph into its studio, therefore leading to Alice being under contract to Warner Brothers from now on. She was lent to Preferred Pictures to star in The Other Woman's Story that same year, which thankfully survives and has been restored by David Sten in the San Francisco Silent Film Festival. The film was a fascinating murder mystery that told through flashbacks and got Alice rave reviews again. In 1926, Alice appears to have left Warner Brothers and begun to freelance. She starred in the drama Tentacles of the North, an adventure set in the Arctic that saw her use her considerable dramatic talents to portray a woman that goes through an emotional breakdown. In 1927, Alice made 2 surviving films. First, she appeared in MGM's Technicolor short, The Flag, as the fictitious British spy Edith Brandon, who was a friend of Betsy Ross, played by Enid Bennett, during the American Revolution. She also starred in Hidden Aces at Louis T. Rogers Pictures. After making The Isle of Forgotten Women, Alice briefly retired in 1927. This retirement could be due to her recent marriage to theater owner Max Chotiner. In 1929, Alice starred in her first talkie, the Western Bride of the Desert, in which she starred opposite Leroy Mason. Sadly, this film is also lost, but got good reviews for her in Motion Picture News, which said that it was similar in plot to Lillian Gish's 1928 film The Wind. Alice played a wife that takes in a fugitive on the run, later nursing him back to health and becoming his alibi when he is accused of another crime. Alice then took 5 years off from the movies, I'm assuming to focus on her marriage. In 1934, she briefly came out of retirement to make a cameo in the Spencer Tracy drama Now I'll Tell, appearing as Shirley Temple's mother in one scene. Following this film, Alice left Hollywood for good. There is little information about Alice's life following her retirement. We do know that she divorced Max Chotener in 1938, but remarried him in 1948. She also opened the Mark Howe Theater, aka the World Theater, along with a few other theaters, in Los Angeles with her friend Mark Hansen in 1925. It's unclear whether Alice was involved with the management of the theaters after the 20s, but we do know that Hansen remained owner of the World Theater through 1963 when he sold it to Pacific Theaters. Alice and Chotener remained married until her death at 65 in 1966 from cancer. She was interred at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale with her husband interred beside her after his death in 1969. So we are left with the question, why did Alice Calhoun retire so quickly after debuting so successfully in the Talkies? While there's not a lot of information out there, I can only assume it was so she could focus on managing her theaters and spending time with her husband. Since Bride of the Desert got her good reviews and appears to have done well at the box office, it is logical to conclude that it was Alice's choice to walk away from her stardom in 29, only to return briefly once more in 34. Alice Calhoun was a lovely, talented star who not only gave wonderful emotional performances on the screen that were rich with nuance, but also was a kind and lovely person that, according to writer Suzanne Disbrow Gilbert, personally answered each and every one of her fan letters. Unfortunately, the majority of her hit films are lost. We can only hope that they are rediscovered someday in a vault or personal collection. More people need to be familiar with the talents of this beautiful and talented actor. Here's to you, Alice. Please like this video and subscribe or follow this account if you want to learn more about the history of silent film stars whose stardom lasted only briefly in the Talkies. Up next, join me as I cover the silent talkie career of Lawrence Chenal. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great rest of your week.